What is the Christmas tree? Today we have a very special guest here with us by the name of Fancy Apples. And she's going to share with us her thoughts on the Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree is like a symbol of hope and new light for everyone on Christmas. What the Christmas tree means to me is like a lot of hope, a new light, a lot of joy, a lot of warmth, a lot of family time, a time of like where Christ is born.
You heard it from the horse's mouth, guys. That's what a 10-year-old holds in her heart as far as the Christmas tree and what it represents, what it means, what it is to her. Let's dive a little deeper into the origins and the beginnings of the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree could be many things to many people. It could be a very subjective interpretation of the world, of something in the world or something out of this world. It could also be something quite objective. Just like Schopenhauer wrote on his book, Die Welt als Wille und Vorstellung. Is everything 100% a projection of my inner soul on the outside? Or is subjective reality a hard fact? Maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle. So there are still many mysteries for us to unravel of a physical, metaphysical, and spiritual nature. Why would so many people around the world set up this Christmas tree around Christmas? Well, you get all sorts of origin stories. The roots certainly have a big impact on today's world. The roots of the tree. If you do some searches on YouTube or Google or wherever, or encyclopedias, history books, you're going to find so many explanations. So many explanations that are, partially true or maybe false, some of them. And there could be so many stories intertwined, again, that you might just, find yourself lost or at a loss for the real roots, the real origin of the tree. In these situations, some of the keys to the truth that help a lot are the scriptures, the holy scriptures, going back to them and seeing what they have to say about such things. So, number one, we have the Bible. That's the most well known. But we also have other scriptures that we can, refer to, and they can sort of, guide us in our contemplations, in our research, in our meditations, so that we can, get closer to the truth, triangulate our way to the truth. I keep telling you, I'm not here to tell you the truth. I'm here to help share with you the keys, the guidance that God has shared with me in his infinite mercy and his wisdom, that he's seen fit that we need to know now, and that we need to share them with however many people that we can that are, receptive. So let's start with the Bible. The Bible, what does the Bible say about trees? Any kind of trees. The Bible has over 250 references to trees. And if you add synonyms and other words, related words, it has many more. So if you add cedars, then you're going to have, over 50 plus results. And the cedars being a particular kind of tree that have the certain seeds of life. That's why they're called cedars, because they seed life around them. And you also have references such as vine, and in particular, the tree of life is something that comes to my attention. The Christmas tree could possibly have started out as a representation of the tree of life. And what does the Bible have to say about the tree of life? It has several references to it, starting in Genesis. Genesis 2:9, the Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. See, a lot of people miss this fact, that the Bible talks about two divine trees, not just one. Most people are familiar with the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the one, whose fruit Eve ate from it and shared with Adam and committed a sin against God. But they miss that other tree that was there. the tree of life. And that was really important. It's always been very mysterious to me that people miss that tree and they don't, study it enough. And another thing, if you're new to my videos, new to my channel, you haven't seen the other videos, this is not about dogma. I'm zero dogma here, okay? So when I read the Holy Bible or the Holy Scriptures, I don't look at them as like, oh, this is dogma and you have to believe it or you're going to hell or something silly like that. Absolutely not. The way I read them and I approach the Scriptures is as intelligence briefs, above top secret. So these are documents that have been preserved through the power of God for millennia, and they hold so much wisdom and mysteries and secrets. Some of them are right there, in the language plainly to be seen, and some of them can only be deciphered if you have been granted the wisdom of God, if you have eyes to see and ears to listen. So it's very important that we keep going back to them with the new understanding that you have next month and next year and the year after that, because you're going to have a different level of consciousness and awareness, hopefully for the better, right? Because there's people that they keep digging a hole downwards instead of digging upwards and out of the hole. So you have a lot of those people, but hopefully you're not one of them. And usually the crowd that's listening and on this channel is the top of the cream of the crop. Like, just amazing. You guys are amazing. If you're listening to this, you have a very high level of spiritual development. You are very close to God. Even if you're an atheist, these videos are not made for, Christians or Hindus or this and that, the other. These videos are made for God, for His glory, and for the sake of humanity. Share them with other people. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts on them. Back to the subject. When you read these scriptures, it's better to have that approach of ignorance. Like, show me. I don't know. Show me. Leave all your preconceived notions behind. Leave all your baggage behind. Like, I'm not a Christian, or I hate Christians, or, my dad used to be a pastor and I grew up to hate it, or, my aunt was very devout and Catholic, and now I'm very devout as well. They're great for you, But the way I see these texts is very divine, but as well also very verbatim. You have to take them very, very word for word. Try to be very literal in their meaning. Do as little interpretation as possible. And usually the books themselves explain if there are any metaphors, but sometimes they're not metaphors. But they're just way beyond what our current mind development is. And we've been so much blinded by the devil, the hypnosis, the MK Ultra, all that stuff, that we can no longer see. So let me keep on reading. Genesis 3:22, we have another reference to the tree of life. And the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. Another reference right there. Then Genesis 3:24. After he drove man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim, and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. These sentences are filled with so much. I could do a video on each one of them, entirely filled with wisdom and significance. So I'm not going to go into them very deep right now. I want to keep on the subject of the Christmas tree, which could possibly be the tree of life. Now, some of you might already be shouting from the rooftops, oh, keys to the truth, the Sephiroth, the Kabbalah, this is occult knowledge. Oh my God, run for the hills. Guys, when an occultist or somebody like that knows something, it doesn't mean they owned it, okay? They own that knowledge. They don't own that knowledge. They didn't create that knowledge. They just happen to know it. Okay? And they have their own way of twisting it, possibly corrupting it. So, you just take an example like the rainbow. God's beautiful rainbow. What does it mean? Where does it come from? Did the evil people make the rainbow? Did they go around making rainbows in the rain in the waterfalls? No, they didn't make it. They don't make them, and they sure as heck don't own it. Okay, so for example, I usually wear a rainbow bracelet all the time, everywhere I go, and I care less what it means to other people. What I care is what it means to God and what it means to me. So that's just one example, and I want to drive that point home. If the Christmas tree is indeed the tree of life, the tree of God, an interpretation, a representation of that divinity, then what the heck does it matter, that the Kabbalists or these crazy people are worshiping something like an idol? That's their business. If they want to, take their souls with such practices, that's on them, okay? You do your part, you do your thing, and live and let live in a way, You share as much as you can with the people that are receptive, and that's all you can do. There's only one Savior, and you're not it, okay? So let's keep going. So you will find plenty more references here and there in the Bible itself regarding specifically the tree of life. Proverbs 11:30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and the one who is wise saves lives. Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. Proverbs 15:4. The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. Revelation, then we go all the way to Revelation. Apocalypse 2:7. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. That one is very strong right there, very strong. We could dive for hours on that one alone. Revelation 22:2. Down the middle of the great street of the city, on each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nation. Very interesting. Revelation 22:14. Blessed are those who wash their robes, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may go through the gates into the city. Talking about, the second coming of Christ and New Jerusalem. Revelation 22:19. And if anyone takes words away from this scroll of prophecy, God will take away from that person any share in the tree of life and in the holy city, which are described in this scroll. Very deep revelations here. So these are worth your time to look into them a little deeper. Right now, for the sake of time, I will keep going. These videos are long enough. Do not forget Daniel 4:10 through 11, where he says, these are the visions I saw while lying in bed. I looked, and there before me stood a tree in the middle of the land. Its height was enormous. The tree grew large and strong, and its top touched the sky. It was visible to the ends of the earth. Wow, that's a handful right there. It was enormous, touched the sky, and was visible to the ends of the earth. Stood in the middle of the land. Where's the middle of the land if not the center portion, the center pole, the North Pole? That's why I keep telling you that what they are hiding at the North Pole is the giant tree, the tree of life. Keep in mind that last part. It was visible to the ends of the earth. What if I told you that the giant tree of life, the tree that's being represented as the Christmas tree, is indeed visible to this day, right now, to the ends of the earth? You think I'm crazy, right? Well, I'll show you a ton of evidence I have to this regard, and you will make up your own mind, do your own research, and make sure you share with us what your experiences are, what your feelings are in this regard. But again, just keep this in mind when I get to the other material. How blind we are, just completely ignorant. So we have to like literally get down on our knees, spiritually, physically, and open ourselves up in that state of humility to receive God's light, His divine command, His divine instruction, so that we may break the spells that we are under, because we are completely mind controlled, guys, and we need to bust out of this situation, this matrix. All my videos, you can watch them individually, but they're always also sequential. So meaning that the later videos, some things you might not understand them unless you want to watch the other ones. And that's not just a sales pitch. It's just so much information. I would have to make 5-hour videos each time if I have to keep explaining all these concepts. But anyway, let's read here from the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the essence of the Vedas. They're like excerpts from the Vedas. And so we have in the Katha Upanishad, on the third valley, we have this part where it's referring to the tree as well. It says, the ancient Ashvata tree has roots that go upwards and branches that go downwards. He is resplendent indeed, that Brahman, who is called immortality itself. All worlds are dependent upon him, and no one goes beyond that. This is indeed that. That's a lot right there. It's talking about a universal tree, a world tree, a huge giant tree of the universe that spans the universe. Let me continue with another reference, and this is from the Bhagavad Gita. So why do I do all these different references from different traditions, different cultures, to show you that this is not just something that is particular to the Christians or the Catholics or the Hindus or the Muslims or the monks or this and that and the other. These are universal truths of the universe that are, made available to humans, to puny humans, to us very limited humans and our human souls, so that we might be worthy of receiving the grace of God. So this is higher knowledge, and these are higher truths. So Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Urdhva Mulam Ada Shakam Ashvatam Prahur Aryayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Sa Vedavid. This translation I haven't done myself, but I've glanced over it and it looks pretty accurate. What's saying is the Supreme Lord said about this tree, which is an Ashvatam tree, the same as the Upanishads are referring to it. And these two texts are written at different times, different epochs, like thousands of years apart. And this is Lord Krishna speaking, who is an avatar of the Almighty, of the Father, actually. And he is, he came down to earth for so many purposes. One of them was annihilating the demons, as he had promised in the book of Enoch that would happen. He didn't mention he would do it personally. But in the Bible, God says that revenge is his alone. So everything fits in together. Anyways, so he's talking about this huge tree, and he's saying that anybody that knows about this huge tree, whose roots reach down into different worlds, and the branches go up into the heavens, and it's an eternal tree. If you know about this tree, you are a knower of the Vedas, of the Vedic truth, of the truth. The Vedas are the truth. That's what it means, knowledge of God. So this is a very veiled reference, and most people don't get this. 99% of people don't get this. Like even Swamis and Gurus, they don't get this. Because it has to be God that lets you understand. You cannot gain understanding on your own. He's making the reference to the tree, to the giant, huge tree of the universe. That Sarva Ashvatam. And he's telling you, if you know about this tree, and its leaves, and its branches, and its roots, then you know the truth. Then you know about the Vedas. Then you know me, meaning God. So that's pretty deep right there, guys. You can look at different types of trees, and you'll see they have so many crazy properties, magical. Remember, trees are magical beings. They're magical manifestations of God. They are fractal antennas that are transmuting energies for different purposes, divine purposes. And you can watch my video on why plants are green, where I detail that very thoroughly. So please do that. Also watch my video on the aurora borealis, and they're all related. There's also this passage from the Shiva Sutras, which goes something like Shakti Chakra Samdane Vishva Samhara. It's one of my favorite. I've been studying it for the past few weeks, and I'll have to do a video particularly on it. It tells you everything about the tree in 2 words. You can only do that in Sanskrit. Again, another proof that it's the language of creation. And it tells you how the universe is created and destroyed in 2 words. Through the tree, through the magic of the tree of God. Other mythologies, or not mythologies, actual histories. Sorry about, they have us so indoctrinated into using their terminology. We have Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil in the Norse mythologies. A lot of people are familiar with Yggdrasil. They have him in comic books. They have it in video games. They have it in movies. That's another key to the truth. The past histories, but also what they're showing you in their movies and their entertainment. Why do they do that? For whatever reason. But one of the big reasons they do it is because they want to transmit that hidden knowledge between their ranks. And they're not going to put it in the textbooks, but they hide it. And then, the parents tell the students and the grandkids, and they start passing on this information. Like, oh, watch this movie, and we put that, secret there, and so you can see it, blah, 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 and tell your kids. So we should do the same. We should be passing all these truths and knowledge and all these keys to our new generations, okay? That's why I had my daughter here in the beginning give us the intro, because, right now, she probably knows more than I do. And when she's my age, God knows how far she's going to get. And then her kids and her, close family, things like that. So anyway, talking a little bit about the poetry of the Nordic poetry, they have something here where they say, "An ash I know there stands, Yggdrasil is its name, a tall tree showered with shining loam." Shining! Keep that in mind. From there comes the dews that drop into the valleys. It stands forever green over well. Okay? From there come the dews. Remember that. I'm going to show you some interesting information. Okay? So what would be a Sanskrit etymology of Yggdrasil, knowing that the Nordics spoke Sanskrit in the beginning? It could be something like yog. That YG is directly the same as yoga. YG, yog. So they just took out the O. And then we have drashi, which means vision, divine vision, not just any vision, divine vision. Drasi or drashi. And then sil means to glean, to meditate, to contemplate, to honor, to worship. So Yggdrasil could very well have a Sanskrit root that would mean worshiping the union with the divine, sight unseen, a vision of the divine worship. So if you have this huge tree that spans, the universe, the cosmology, that's exactly what you call it. Very, very interesting how everything fits together. And I didn't know this a few months ago. I didn't know this that last year. I suspected some things, but this process that God has me going through, and you can see crystals here. Can you see the crystals? Oh my gosh. You see how they hide things? The crystals, the magic crystals. Remember, this world is not deterministic. It's not relativistic. It's not quantum. It's not reductionist. It's magical. 100 and 1,000% magical. Electricity is magic. Magnetism is magic. And I will show you that through the course of several videos. Okay? Trees are magic. They're manifesting magic. They're fractal antennas of manifestation of God's power. Okay? So you'll see they put them out everywhere for those that have eyes to see. And one particular source of entertainment are kids' cartoons, um, and kids' comic books and the like. And you'll find some jewels there, all pun intended, some root jewels. For example, I looked this up in 2020. The Will of Yggdrasil, and this is from Digimon, from like the Pokemon. And if you're an adult, you're gonna miss this. But if whenever my kids are watching some stuff, I have my eyes open, to find some clues. The Will of Yggdrasil is the digital world host computer, the system that manages it. Of course, it's not a computer, but it's a managing system in a way. You could think of it as that. Originally, the system on the supercomputer that found the net ocean, the Will of Yggdrasil is considered the god of the digital world. Just like they also have those movies Tron. Okay? The Will of Yggdrasil keeps the digital world, in this case the real world, and the Digimons in an unknown experiment. It is formless, but it can create avatars. Listen to what they're telling you. And this sword imagery here, I'm going to tell you what it means. I know these videos are long. Sorry about that. You can always listen to them at 1.5x. But there's just so much information. This sword is encoding a lot of things. And the crystals, look at the crystals. And they're telling you that the tree, the universal will, the source of creation, God, is formless, but it can create and does create physical flesh and blood assistance. And to some people that have a hard time understanding that, I tell them this. Just think of your phone or computer or your Alexa, your Siri. You have those assistants, right? Virtual assistants. Now think we could already they have this technology where you have a 3D printer, and the assistant prints itself a little robot body and then starts moving across 3D space, right? It could be done. It could be done right now. There's probably already somebody doing it. It could be a hologram or it could be a 3D printed model. Okay. And so the more advanced that is, it could be, that this avatar goes back and forth between virtuality and reality and physicality. And it could interact with you and, could do your groceries, could do whatever for you. Could help you find information, this and the other. But so, if the universe is all powerful, God's all powerful, creating avatars for him is a very simple thing. It's a very divine thing, but he could do it every day if he wanted to. Okay? We are indeed avatars of our small human souls, which are a little particle of God. Okay? So that we have free will. So it's a lot of information in here, but I want to drive home the point. If you're agnostic, if you're Buddhist, if you're atheist, God can and does actually manifest in the physical self. Okay? If you already know this, great. But if you don't, if you have trouble getting past the Masonic, Freemasonic, Gnostic imagery, conundrums, and the quagmires, and everything is a symbol, everything is astrology, everything is numbers, everything is just a metaphor. No! They use that to fool you so you can't get to that other level where you know that God is formless, but God can also have form because he's almighty. He can do whatever he pleases. Okay? That's very important, guys, that you know that. So again, going back to this thing, Yggdrasil is also the world tree. This tree holds the digital world and its data, blah, blah, blah. Surrounding the world tree are Yggdrasil's crystals. This crystal can summon the avatar and act like the security system. You want to know what the word for crystal is in Sanskrit? I probably shouldn't tell you right now because it's too much information. We'll do another video specifically on it. I'll spoil it anyway because it's just too important. The word for crystal in Sanskrit is spata. You heard me correctly, spata. And guess what that means in Greek or Latin? It means sword. So in Genesis, what did God do when he kicked the humans out of the Garden of Eden? He set up a cherubim with a flaming sword around the tree. But if you run the translation through the Greek and the Sanskrit, that flaming sword becomes a spada, and that flaming spada becomes a flaming crystal. You see? So whoever tells you there's no crystals in the Bible, they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't done the proper research. They think they know everything. So beware those people that think they know everything. And beware that you don't become one of them. We have more here. Yggdrasil is also the world tree. Surrounding the world tree, there is the Yggdrasil's crystals. They can summon the Avatar and act like a security system for the world tree. So, guess why they don't touch it? Guess why it's still standing? We would all be dead if that tree wasn't standing. Okay? Because they can't get to it. There's several reasons. This is one of them. But that world tree is also generating all the inertial plane that we know as gravity, which is not really gravity. But I will tell you more about that in other videos. Just too much information. And the dielectrics and diamagnetism, paramagnetism that helps us move around this world. It also acts and makes a hyperboloid and a toroidal field that is just so powerful. It creates all the weather systems in the world and creates the sun and the moon. And I'll give you the specific mechanics through the course of several videos and that God has shared with me. And it also creates a null point field at the North Pole, so you can't get to it, even if you wanted to. If you throw a rocket at it, that rocket's just going to turn around. Okay, it's because it's falling into nothing because the tree has like a force field around it. This is a picture I took myself in Houston at the airport, right here, and they have the giant tree there, the giant tree that you can see from everywhere. Oh, Kisudrugo, I can't see the tree. I'll show you that you can't see it, and I'll show you where it is in a minute. In the sky. Now, remember the dew line? The dew line? Remember that Bible reference I told you? The dew line. They tell you, oh, it's just an acronym. It's a military acronym. All we do are acronyms. Direct early warning. No, that's not what it means. That's just to fool you. Remember, levels of fakery in the onion of lies. They call it dew because it's the dew from the tree, from the giant tree. And they call it Greenland because of the green copper crystals and the aurora borealis. Okay? Look at the logo. Look at the logo on the patch. It tells the story. And that dew line, you cannot cross it. On the US side or the Canada or the Russian side, they will shoot you down. I have a friend who's flies private planes and things like that, jets, and he told me that he's spoken to several pilots to try and whenever he's going to Europe, try to get him across. Like he's been told several times, they have so many systems in place, radars, and they will put you down if you cross that line, and you will not come back to tell the story. So maybe something somebody could do is send out 100 drones from way up north that have some sort of internet connection live, and let the world know. But we don't need to because we can already see the tree. Look at the patch. It's got the tree in the middle with the lightning because of the energy that it's manifesting. That huge fractal antenna of that magnitude, of that size, it manifests the sun and the moon. I mean, imagine the energy. The aurora borealis, it manifests the tides. And I'll tell you all the mechanics. I'm not just a crazy person here ranting. This is all about evidence, guys. I didn't know this until very recently through the research God has put me through. So in the exercise of doing these videos, I'm finding myself learning so much more. But it's not me learning. When you get to that level, you understand that you're not learning anything. God is the one force feeding you because we're so dumb. And it's creating the firmament right there, the toroidal field, and so much more. The air, the wind, everything. So the wording they use, I mean, it's just very blatant. And we have the maps. We have here the maps with the Rupes Nigra up north and the islands and the freshwater streams. And I'll tell you where the fresh water is coming from. I'll tell you where the icebergs are coming from, how they're being manifested, how they're being brought into creation. The Rupas Nigra could possibly be just, the trunk of the tree, and it's just going up so high that, people don't get to see the top of it. They assume it's a mountain, but it's not a mountain. You have this, in movies too, like that Black Tower movie, where remember they were trying to, what were they trying to do to the tower? They were trying to bring it down, right? Destroy it, wreck it. Cannot be done. Impossible. Okay? And even if somebody would get, close to having the capabilities, you could probably get 10 or 100 angels raining down on you with hell, brimstone and hellfire. So, maybe that's why there's been some real resets in the past, some real apocalypses. We don't know. But, if an angel, a single angel can destroy 200,000 troops in a night, imagine what 100 angels could do, or 10 angels. And we don't even know that 200,000 is their capability. That's just something that's in the Bible. But that angel could have been, slacking and still destroyed an entire army in a night. These entities are very, very powerful. The tree diameter to height ratio, 80:1. Keep that in mind. So, for example, when we go to the plasma moon map, that one of the channels has been so kindly sharing with us, he's picturing here the Hyperborea as the four islands, and for all we know, each one of these could be part of the trunk. So the trunk could be in the middle. It still would be huge, several miles in diameter, or it could be the whole thing, like kind of the mangrove trees. They have, the trunk. They have different sections of the trunk. That tree, if it's that 80:1 ratio, that's the average ratio of the height to diameter. That tree would be, how big do you want it to be? It would be, hundreds or even thousands of miles tall. We don't even know what that would look like. That would span pretty much the entire universe as we know it. That we know it's not fake balls flying in space, in fake space. The wording itself also hides the truth. Hyperborea, hyper means, like big, and borea comes from arbor, meaning tree. So it's telling you what it is. It's a giant tree, Hyperborea. Okay. Aurora borealis, aura means light in Hebrew. Aura, the light. Aurora means light, and borealis is tree, light of the tree. So the aurora borealis, coming from the northern lights, is also coming from the tree. And I told you already what it is in one of my videos. If you haven't seen it, watch it. What the aurora borealis is, and I tell you there exactly what it is, and it's coming from the tree. You can see in the entertainment they divulge that information between their ranks, but if you're have eyes to see, you can kind of listen in, eavesdrop, and get some clues to find the truth. In this movie Avatar, we have the Tree of Souls. They lived in giant trees, but also have the Tree of Souls. And they don't get these ideas from nowhere. There's actually, several myths in Judaism about the Tree of Souls. And here, I'll read from it. The cosmic tree. In the beginning, God planted a cosmic tree that reached from one end of the universe to the other. God planted this tree for the whole world. And everything that God created afterward emerged from this tree. All souls blossom from it, flying forth in joy. All things emanate from it. The whole world delights in it. Everything needs it and yearns for it, and seeks to glimpse that tree. And at the end of their lives, the souls of the righteous ascend on high, attaching themselves to this tree. God was alone when he created the cosmic tree, and sowed the seeds of all. None was with him when he planted and rooted that tree, and there was none to whom he could confide this secret. That is why no angel can raise himself above it to say, I was here first. The cosmic tree described here functions both as a myth and as an allegory. This dual nature is commonly found in Kabbalah, which is there in an ongoing dialectic between myth and allegory. The myth of a tree that is also the cosmos has astrological roots, while its allegorical aspect is the symbolic tree of life that is used to represent the Sephiroth, especially the final 7 Sephiroth. The names of these Sephiroth are identified in the verses, "Yours, Lord, are the greatness, the strength, the beauty, the victory, and the splendor, for all in heaven and earth. Yours, O God, is the kingdom." 1 Chronicles 29:11. The Sephirah Yeshod, representing the sexual organ in man, is identified as the all, that is the source of all souls. For through Yeshod, souls are transmitted. The Sefer HaBahir discusses the cosmic tree in 2 passages, 22 and 119. In the latter, the cosmic tree is defined. What is this tree? The powers of God, one above the other, resembling a tree. Here too, the metaphor of the tree is expanded as follows. Just as a tree brings forth fruit through water, God increases the power of the tree through water. What is the water of God? It is wisdom. It is the souls of the righteous. The Shekinah dwells among them. Their deeds rest in the bosom of God, and He makes them fruitful and multiplies them. In Isaiah 44:24, God says, "It is I am what I am, who made everything, who stretched out the heavens alone and spread out the earth." This statement is intended to eliminate speculation that other forces, such as the angels, aided in creation. Likewise, Genesis Rabbah 1:3 states, "When were the angels created? All agreed that none were created on the first day, lest you say Michael stretched the world in the south and great Gabriel in the north, while God measured in the middle." Other sources, however, link the creation of the angels to the first day of creation and imply that the angels did participate in the subsequent creation. See Creation by Angels, page 116, and the accompanying note. This sentiment is also found in the passage from Sefer HaBahir 22:11, where God takes complete credit for having created the cosmic tree, which is a metaphor for the universe. This tree is the origin of the souls of the world. It does not seem to be identical to the tree of life, although it emerges from it. Sources: Sefer HaBahir 22:119. Studies Origins of the Kabbalah by Gershom Scholem. The tree that is all Jewish Christian roots of Kabbalistic symbol. Guys, again, here the author of this book is giving us some insight into this text. However, the author can't get past the symbolism and the metaphors. So I'm telling you, it's not a metaphor. It simply is not. So very important. If we're talking about the tree of souls being a possibility, then that's what the stars could be. The souls, right? And I will tell you more about that in another video, but it explains it in several parts of the Bible. Christ himself says it in the gospel. Daniel says it, that, the wise and those that are helpful to others on their path to God will shine in the sky, like the stars. So they're telling you right there what it is, what they really are, and what's going on. Here we can also see this video that another channel did, very interesting, where he's projecting light from some lights, some Christmas lights of all things, onto a certain bowl, a fish bowl of sorts, and it looks exactly like stars. Now the only part that he's missing is the tree part. And here we go. We have, for example, Rockefeller Center. They put their own tree there, and they have all these statues to the fallen angels and Prometheus and the two-tailed mermaids. If they want to corrupt themselves, that's their business. Again, guys, what I told you in the beginning. In a way, I could care less. I care because it's affecting us all here, and We have to get closer to God and raise our vibration. But if somebody insists on being demonic, I mean, I can't save them. You can't save them, But that doesn't preclude us from, knowing what the tree's real roots, all pun intended, are, what the real origins of the tree are, and what it's really representing. And what it's representing is the tree of God, the tree of life, the tree of souls, the Yggdrasil, aka Kalpadriksha, aka Kalpadruma, aka Dhruva in Sanskrit. All those are Sanskrit names for the same thing, the same tree, Shaka. The Vedas talk extensively about this. I will have to do several videos on that as well. It tells the mechanics of how the tree makes the sun, and how it makes the moon, and how it makes the aurora borealis, and everything in the world. Okay? And if you look up in the night sky, out in the countryside, out in the desert, if you're in Arizona or somewhere nice like that, and where you have very little light pollution, you could see what I have come to realize through the grace of God is the actual trunk of the tree spanning the entire known universe, that we know it's not fake space, upwards. We are looking at the tree literally, we're looking at the tree up from where our point of view. And the tree is this arrangement of stars, of shining, if it were a Christmas tree, of the shining lights, the yotish, from up above. And that's what the stars are. They're the souls, the angels of the Lord, the host of heaven. And they are, and it looks like it's the whole thing spinning because the firmament might be spinning. There's something up there that's spinning. We know that for a fact. The Shakti chakra, the wheel of the universe. It's spinning. The tree itself is not moving, but the stars appear to be moving. Are they moving, or is the firmament moving? Those are questions that we, still need to ponder. But just look at all these pictures here. Tell me that doesn't look like a diffused lighting scenario with the actual trunk of this giant Christmas tree, this giant tree of souls, this giant tree of life. And it's just so huge that you can see it from, like it says in the Bible, from all the ends of the earth. You can see it at night. You can't see it in the cities anymore because of the light pollution. And guess who's behind all that? Guess why on the Sabbath, we don't touch electricity. We're not supposed to touch electricity because it's a construct. It's a black magic. It's a golem that was made, as a fake light, like the devil, to obscure the real light. So at night in the city, you can't look at the stars anymore. You might see one or two, and that's it. But you can't see the actual tree trunk. Okay? But so why does, several proofs. If you find a video where the night sky is spinning around Polaris, which is the top of the tree, we always represent that with a star. And a lot of Christmas trees have stars in them. And the Milky Way is always going to go at a point through a perpendicular to the ground, to the horizon. What does that mean? That means it's standing up. Okay? If it wasn't going through the perpendicular at some point, then I would be wrong. But I'm not wrong because I've already looked at that. And I'll share some. It's hard to find the Milky Way rotating around Polaris, but you can find videos where you have one set and then you have another set and then you kind of piece them together. But the Milky Way always goes through the perpendicular at some point to the plane, meaning that thing is standing up, okay? Usually it's in the middle of the sky and it's standing up. So you're looking up at the trunk, and this huge trunk with huge infinite powers granted by God, which is, the celestial abode of God. And why is it there? Why is God allowing us to see it? I mean, that's another question. Because he could hide it. I mean, we could be living in a place where we could see the sun. He could have arranged for illumination to happen otherwise. Where we couldn't see the moon, where we couldn't see the stars, we couldn't see the Milky Way, which is the trunk of the tree.
Just look at it. Make up your mind. Don't believe a word I say. Research it. But research it thoroughly. Don't just dismiss the information because, you're triggered. Forgo the triggers. Overcome the triggers. Overcome the mind control, the blindness. And let God free you of all and of any and all curses against you. Okay? It looks exactly like a giant tree trunk that's surrounded by lights. Okay? Different shadings, different shadows and lights. That's exactly what it would look like if you were looking at it. So I'm going to post a lot of pictures here for you to browse through of Christmas tree lights that are, in different lighting scenarios, focused, out of focus, and you can see how it looks just like it. And so, the Christmas tree could quite possibly have its origins here in that collective soul of ours that knows about this, that, it comes from there and it's going there after we die. If we're lucky, if we do our Dharma, if we perform our duty belovedly, lovingly to God, and offer our life to God, offer everything to God. Okay? If we take refuge and just keep away from the demonic, keep away from the earthly, overcome the earthly through God. So why is He allowing us to see all this? It's for a purpose. Everything is purposeful, 100 and 1,000%. Okay, I'll do videos on that as well. Everything is purposeful. Everything. Okay, so do not be deceived by these people that tell you, oh, it's evil, or it's pagan, or it's Saturnalia, or idol worship. Because if you want it to be that, then that's what it's going to be to you. But if you want it to be your love of God, then that's what it's going to be to you. Okay? We have that freedom that God grants us. And guys, it's been a pleasure. I really wish you a Merry Christmas in God to you and your loved ones. I part by giving you this gift, this prasad of representation that I've been working on of what might be our universe or might not. The water might be higher level or lower. That some things that we may never know, but it's just a really nice, it's just a thought and imagination that I wanted to share with you as a gift. Feel free to use it, and I'll probably make some t-shirts next year. Make sure you like, subscribe to this video channel. Also, don't forget to bookmark my upcoming website, Keys to the Truth. I'll have it up sometime. Again, have a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a beautiful New Year. May all your wishes in God come true, and may God bless you forever and ever.